All righty. Here we are. Episode outside.
Yes, first outside episode ever of a podcast.
Yep.
Breaking history.
And we're facing directly into the sun.
So you can see me a little bit easier.
And I'm on the shady side.
Yeah, he's on the shady side.
So I won't blind everybody.
How you been doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. How about you?
I've been pretty.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been really busy. You know what I mean? You know, life.
Mm-hmm.
Started my second podcast, the Dirty Six Chamber. So we started that last week.
Oh, that's good.
And we want to invite you on there for an episode so you can see how we do things.
Okay. I will go.
I'll say it again?
I said I will go.
Okay. Appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah, man.
that.
And what do you mean by how you do things?
Well, just how we...
Pause. I'm not pausing you. I'm just saying I'm not ignoring you. I'm setting a timer just so we...
Oh, you good?
Because if we go 4 hours, it'll get dark. You know what I'm saying?
All right. But just how we do things, how we set up, how we, converse and talk about things, and so you can see a dynamic of how the studio's set up and stuff like that.
Right.
And
Who's in your group?
Ray. He's the co-host.
Mm-hmm.
And also another co-host is Scar. He's my producer. So we brought him on too because he's real rolly with music. So there's us three running the show for right now. And we got some artists from out of state that tapped in, and we got some local artists that we're trying to bring to the forefront too.
Cool.
That's about it.
It's just, but it's all music.
All music. So
any
far.
culture, any current events, any like.
We stick on the golden age of the hip hop. We just usually delve in, like the last episode was about does conscious rap have a place in the new era of hip hop?
What's a conscious rap?
It's more so when you talk about political issues.
Current events, kind of like.
Exactly.
Well, they used to do that all the way back in the day. Think about when you think of let's go way back, like a Vietnam song. You know, like Paint It Black.
Right.
Whatever,
right.
It's always that.
Or war.
You have an air.
What is it good for?
Yeah. Absolutely nothing. But every culture has done that. Every generation has done that, I would suspect. I mean,
right. Could you speak out against the masses? But being within how the times has changed, everything is drugs, sex, and rock and roll. You know what I mean? So
now or ever?
No, I'm just saying, within the last 30 years, everything's kind of been like, cars, hot girls, drugs.
Do you think that every generation going back would have their version of sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
I think they did.
Yeah, I mean, it might not have been rock and roll. It might have been like lute and, drum, but it would have been sex and drugs.
Right, definitely. No, I think they all have. Even
sex and drugs and folk songs.
Even in country music.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of what country music is about, well, I wouldn't say most. A lot of it's about trucks and beer. But a lot of the basis of where country music came from was talking about the situations that people were in and telling stories.
Telling stories, yeah.
So how close do you think that, from a origin standpoint, if country music goes way back and the folk music goes way back and they're all just telling stories, is songs just telling stories? Is that
I really feel like
we come around full circle to it?
I think it really does. I think that's what most people try to, even with me when I do my music, I'm trying to convey a message to put out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it all does come from like, a story standpoint of things,
Well, does every song have to tell a story, or can one just be fun?
Well, yeah, definitely can be fun. Yeah, definitely, I definitely feel like a lot of music are just made for moments sometimes,
Do you focus on telling the story, or do you just go with whatever comes?
I go with whatever comes or what I'm feeling at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So what's the last one you wrote and why? And give me the one-liner.
The one line, know your worth.
Know your worth.
Know your worth. You know what I mean? And you had it since birth. You have to know, we always question ourselves like, why? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? But initially, that what you have inside of your heart, if you believe in something, you can bring it out to the world. You just have to believe in yourself. It's all about self-belief.
But you got to go further than that. Right?
No, I mean, it's really just tapping into who you are as a person and what you believe in, and not giving up on yourself and your dreams.
But belief doesn't mean action.
Belief doesn't mean action,
no.
but
I could believe I could fly.
Now you are saying some real deal stuff, but you have to put action into plan for things to happen.
Well, of course, that's what I'm saying.
I can believe I want to change the world, but if I don't,
that's biblical. Belief without action is nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't just believe anything and think it's going to happen. No, it's going to sit in your mind and just sit there until you on the couch with you until you get up off the couch.
Yeah.
open the door and make a step towards that.
It's like standing outside the voting booth and complaining about the candidates, but never going in and making the check mark.
Speaking of that, there's been a lot going on in the world.
Holy smokes!
I was wanting to talk to you about that.
Bring it.
I don't understand the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians and that.
Neither does anybody else on the planet. Join the club.
But I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, me too, man. I mean,
Where do you think where do you think the war started from?
How far back do you want to go?
Does it goes back further? Does it goes back far in time, or is it more modern?
Oh, it's forever ago. It's been going on for thousands of years.
Thousands of years?
It's just different groups by different names in the same area. The only constant being the Jews.
Is there, my next question is there a victim?
Yeah.
Who's the victim?
Well, okay, it depends on your perspective, obviously, on what you think victimization is. But if you go back in your own knowledge from just, middle school and high school, who do you think the victims are? Who are always the ones that are beaten down and trodden every turn from biblical times to now?
Okay.
Who is it?
Those are Jews, right?
Always. It always is for some reason. And it's the blessing curse. They are God's chosen, so everybody picks on them.
Right, okay.
So this iteration, it looks like Israel has just had enough. And they are strong enough at this point and enough allies to help them out that it's not going to happen again.
What allies do Palestinians have? Do they?
Not much.
Only they have
all the bad guys.
So
Iran, Syria, Lebanon.
Okay.
Even Saudi Arabia is like
willing to help them.
No, they're kind of like I don't know. Y'all kind of went a little too far this time.
Okay.
Like Jews are safer in Saudi Arabia than they are on a college campus in the United States right now.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's a thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I get it.
Because historically speaking, they've always been the ones who have been
Jews has always gotten a bad rap too, right? For the most part.
In what?
Just
in what way?
Just in like,
well, I suppose just like any other
like the Holocaust and things of that nature. Or these are the same Jews.
There are a lot of cultures over the history of time that have dominated that geography, which means the Jews.
Okay. So there's not one really set people. They're like a whole culture of people.
Who?
The Jews? Yeah. Like, because they come
from a single
They don't
line.
come from one race. Like, they don't have one race. They have
No, it's a lineage of one race.
Okay.
Abraham.
Okay. From
the Bible.
Yeah.
Direct lineage.
From him.
Right. And that's where it split off, was two brothers.
Yep.
Split away, and one became the Jewish culture and another became the
Palestinian culture.
Well, they say Palestinian, that term.
You said something about the guy from Rome.
So from what I understand, and I'm still learning too, but from what I understand, the word Palestine was given to the Jewish area or the Jews themselves as an insult, because it was a derivative word that came from David and Goliath. Goliath was a Philistine.
Okay.
Philistine, Palestine. It was close to the same thing. And it was kind of a diss, because Rome now controlled that whole thing. It was like, now we got you, and we're going to call you what we want to.
We're going to call you what you want.
We're going to try to separate you from your culture, and we're going to start with a name.
Okay.
And so the Jewish area and the Jewish people have always been, up until modern day times, when we're talking about the 20th century, the 1900s, they've always been over, whether it was the British at one point, or before that it was the Arabs, and before that it was somebody else, and before that it was the Romans, and before that, you know what I'm saying? And so it just goes back all the way. But if you go all the way back to the start, it's where the temple was built. It was where Jesus was from. It was always a historically Jewish geography. Palestine has never been a country, like
right.
We're not talking about Palestinian people here. We're talking about governments. We're talking about geography. We're talking about the people in charge.
Right.
And this one is serious, because now Israel is saying, we got our spot. We ain't giving it up.
It's been a while since they had any conflict, right?
Yeah, well, overt conflict. There's been bombs lobbed over here and there, but it's never been anything like this.
So where it makes the world want to pay attention.
This is where people are picking teams.
Do you think it could be a start of the World War III?
Yeah. A lot of people are saying we are right on the cusp of that happening.
It's crazy.
Only a couple little things have happened.
It's crazy because just a couple of weeks ago when we first started the show, you were saying something was going to happen around the world.
It felt like it was, man. It just felt like it was because things spread. And when things start spreading, other governments start getting involved for their own, what they foresee as their, if you're not my enemy, you're my friend.
Right.
So they're going to team up with those that are at least going to let them have their way. I mean, like the Chinese, well, the Russians want their land, the Ukraine back. They're trying to go back to the USSR.
Right.
China wants to rule the world financially. They already own a bunch of our land. A bunch of states in America have already passed a law here just recently saying that no more Chinese companies can buy real estate in those states. So China wants to rule us economically.
So they're buying land, huh?
Yeah. So, but Islam and the radical Islamists in their own charter say they want to get rid of Jews and infidels. Well, there are, other than Islamists, there are only two other kinds:
and that's
Jews and us, which is infidels.
That's the start of their like almost their government, their democracy.
That's like their charter. Yeah, it's like their like. It's
and you said
their wish list.
Infidels and Jews. So that means get rid of everybody.
Everybody but them. And so the only way that Israel can see, you can't push it into control. Because control only lasts for so long. And then there's an uprising and then there's death again.
Right.
And so at this particular moment, Israel's going, well, screw this, we're going to end it. We're just going to end it the best we can so that we're not wiped out.
Okay.
It's a sad situation, and it's going to cost a lot of innocent lives. But at some point, somebody's just got to say that's the end of it.
So what do you think the outcome of this war what do you think is going to come from it all?
You have to define what this war means.
Well,
because there's so many going on at the same time.
Well, the one that we're talking about currently,
the Israel-Gaza, West Bank war.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be the outcome of that war?
I think. Well, Lebanon's already gotten involved. Hezbollah's already gotten involved. We know that Iran is backing them with money and arms. So it's already spread to a multi-country event.
Right.
How many countries does it take before you consider it a world war?
Right.
How many?
How many years you think this might last?
How many has it already lasted?
Thousands, right? Okay. Okay. So on a lighter subject, how you think we doing over here in politics as well? Because we getting ready for election, correct?
We are a year away from an election, a year and a week.
I asked you last time, have you seen any ads that make you like feel some kind of way? Because I've been watching the ads and stuff, and that Joe Biden wanted to pop up, and then it'd be like,
Don't watch the ads.
Yeah.
They are made by professionals like me, video editors.
Make you not like,
we put in ominous music. We turn things black and white. We zoom in on them a little bit, and then we cut really fast to something that's terrible with a voiceover that says the thing that makes you feel the thing you feel.
Exactly.
The thing we want you to feel.
Exactly.
It's a professional editor. It's marketing. It's propaganda. Don't watch the ads. Listen to the debates. Listen to the interviews.
Okay.
Go to podcasts. Go on YouTube University.
So my real question to you is:
listen to the words that are coming out of our mouths.
Do we have any good candidates other than Trump and Biden?
When you say good, what do you mean?
Somebody worthy of being a good president.
Well, you got to cross Biden off that list.
Okay.
He's not a good president. His numbers are in the 30s of approval.
Okay.
The economy's a disaster. Inflation is up. You can't afford to buy a house because the interest rates are too high.
Right.
We're out of Afghanistan, and they took it right back after 20 years of being there and so many loss of life. This guy has been a complete and utter disaster. He's a criminal.
And a liar.
Criminal and a liar, and he's basically, if you go so far as saying that if your enemy pays you to change U.S. policy, that it's got to be traitor. You got to be a traitor too.
Right.
And so it's only a matter of time before he's either out or whatever. But this guy, it's been an absolute disaster.
He's not the one.
Look at our country now. Think about it this way. In 2016, who was president? Or prior to 2016, who was president?
Obama.
Right. And who was his vice president?
Harris.
Biden.
Yep. Yeah, right.
And so Russia invaded Crimea in 2014.
Yeah.
Trump was elected. There were no wars that the U.S. got into.
Right.
In the entire administration. Whatever you think about him, if you like his tweets or not, if you like his hair or not, if you like his fake tan or not,
But it wasn't
There were
wars.
no wars. We were economically up, gas prices were down, and there were no wars. As soon as Biden got in office, Russia invaded Ukraine. Why? Because they knew that they could. Period.